Hello and welcome to Happy Science. Well, it's Sunday the 29th of March and I'm in the Australia Shoshinkan, or Australian Temple. Last week I gave a seminar and we had people here in the temple, but during the last week the government has changed the law and in order to try and stop the coronavirus spread, they've stopped people from meeting or big groups of people meeting together. So we are aiming to adapt and evolve here at Happy Science, so we're doing a lot of streaming, online streaming. In the mornings we have morning prayer, in the evenings we have evening prayer. We do ritual kigans and prayers also remotely, and we're streaming it live so people can actually see the prayers taking place if they want to do a ritual prayer and participate. So yeah, we're working through it. We're going to aim to put a lot more material online. And I think from this we'll end up coming out of it stronger and smarter as far as an organisation spreading our teachings. We will use the internet a lot more and find ways to spread the teaching a lot more using social media. So once we can all come back together again, of course we will be having our beautiful meetings here in this wonderful temple. But in the meantime, we will keep developing methods and ways that we can get these teachings to you. So today's seminar is on You Can Be the Person You Want to Become. And this was a lecture that was given by Master Okawa on March 29th in 2009. And I was fortunate enough, 11 years ago, I was fortunate enough to be there during that lecture. And yeah, actually when I think about it, it's almost like yesterday that I remember being there. It was at the Hotel Intercontinental. I remember in the preparation for it that Brian and I were asked to create a sign, a great big Happy Science sign to go up behind Master Okawa on the stage. And we got this sign, and then when we took it there, they asked us to hang it up. And I'll show you this picture. Here's the picture. Yes, well, this picture, as it was hanging behind Master Okawa like this, it was just being hung up with fishing line. And we were a little worried that at some stage during Master Okawa's talk that it might come undone and it could fall down. So this was the worst case scenario, I think, for Brian and I, watching Master, seeing the sign behind him. If it had have fallen down, we would have been a little disappointed. But it stayed up for the entire lecture, so we're pretty happy with that. Yeah, anyway, this lecture, You Can Be the Person You Want to Become, as I said, it was at the Intercontinental Hotel in the middle of Sydney. It was Master Okawa's first lecture outside of Japan. Well, when I say not outside of Japan, I'm sorry, Hawaii was his first lecture, but his first lecture outside of a temple, or Happy Science temple, outside of Japan. And so it was a little bit of a test case, using a nice meeting room or a hotel or a convention centre or something like that. So, as I said, the actual lecture itself was on March 23rd, March 29th, 2009 at the Intercontinental Hotel, Sydney. And the lecture that Master Okawa gave was, well, it was around about 30 minutes for the lecture and around about another 30 minutes for the Q&A. So what I'm planning to do today is I want to show the lecture and show some excerpts of the lecture and then have some comment in between the excerpts and just show the lecture. And then over the next couple of weeks, I want to take the four different people that gave the questions in the Q&A and do each one of those individually, because they were really fabulous questions that Master Okawa was asked and some really great answers that he gave. So I'd like to, over the next couple of weeks, each one of those individually. I will take the Q&A and listen to it and then add a few comments and then upload each one of those individually, and I'll send you a notification so you see it. Anyway, to start with, let's watch this first part of the excerpt of Master Okawa in Sydney Intercontinental Hotel, March 29th, 2009. Thank you.
Person you want to become, followed by a Q&A session. Please welcome Master Juho Okawa.
Hello, everyone. Oh, small voice. Good day, everyone. Okay. It's a nice day, but a little sleepy in the afternoon. So you want to fall into the deep sleep, or you just want to be sleepy. But I came across the Pacific Ocean from Japan, so I cannot let you sleep. I just came here just to wake you up. Wake up. It's one of my mission. My mission is to create awakened people, awakened persons. It's my mission.
So yes, actually you couldn't hear it so much there, but there's quite a bit of laughter in the audience when Master Okawa said, "You seem a little sleepy and want to sleep, but I came across the Pacific Ocean. I just came here to wake up. I just came here to wake you up. Wake up." Yeah, people were laughing quite a lot. But when you hear this, I just came here to wake you up. Wake up. Of course, when we go to bed each night, in the morning we have to wake up. So this is one meaning of the phrase, wake up. But also, spiritually, the phrase, wake up, has a very significant meaning, in that it means that a person wakes up to the truth, or wakes up to the spirituality, or wakes up to the fact that they're not just a physical body, that they're a spiritual being, that their true essence is the spirit or the soul. So really the wake up means for people in Australia to wake up out of their slumber, just living very easy, comfortable lives without much aim and a lot of materialistic type thinking, where it's just all about really working and making money and building a nice future, a nice house, a nice family, and these are all important as well. But behind working and building a nice house and having a nice family, there is something very important that is being lost in society, and that is the spiritual values, or the truth, or knowing who we are, why we're here, what is the whole purpose of our lives on earth. So of course we'll be covering some more of that today with this seminar or lecture from Master Okawa. Yes, so that was his first thing. I just came here to wake you up. Wake up. The Master said, my mission is to create awakened people. That is one of my missions. Yeah, well, Master's told us over and over again that he's come from the heavenly world to teach the truth. And when he teaches the truth, people's thinking can completely change, can go 180 degrees. If we were living a materialistic life, worried about concerns of this world, worrying about what people think about us, or how much money I have, or how do I look, or the fact I'm getting older and one day I'm going to die. And if we have the thinking that's a materialistic type thinking like that really just focus on value through the eyes of materialism, then we are not an awakened person. Awakened people see everything through the eyes of God or Buddha, and they aim to see things that, from the perspective that this world is just a temporary place we've come to train our souls. But Master's going to speak some more about this as we go along. So let's watch this next excerpt from Master Okawa.
I felt a little sad when I came here 2 days ago. My feeling is a little difficult to explain, but I dare say that it's a misunderstanding of equality. I feel so. There is a misunderstanding of equality in this country, especially from the politician of this country, Prime Minister. I don't say his name, but I feel just like that. Equality is a good sound, indeed, but its real meaning comes from you are all children of God. It's a meaning of equality. It's a value of equality. It means a chance of equality. But some kind of politician misunderstood this word, and they sometimes persuade people equality is a result of equality, like that. It's a bad misunderstanding, misleading, because when it's enough to be equal in result, there is no effort required, and my law is the cause and effect, regarding the cause and effect. There are a lot of people in this world. Some people are working very hard, but other people are not. But if the result are same, the conclusion is no one do their best. It's a conclusion, because equality sometimes decline people to the bottom of the life, equality of misery or equality of poverty. That's a reality of the world or world history.
Okay, so Master said at the beginning of this excerpt that when he first came here he felt a little sad, and because Master Okawa can read the feelings or thinking or tendencies of the people of a country. So each time he goes to a country, he looks at the country and he gets a feel for the tendency that that country has developed. I mean, all of us as individuals have soul tendencies, the tendencies of the way we tend to act and the way we tend to be. And then their whole life purpose is trying to improve those tendencies, actually trying to strengthen our good tendencies and get rid of any negative tendencies. But also countries have tendencies. So, I mean, you could say India has a real religious tendency. The people in India tend to be very religious people. So each country has different tendencies. And so Master said that there was a misunderstanding of equality in Australia. He said the real meaning of equality comes from you are all children of God. It's the meaning of equality. So when we think of equality, and the reason he said there's a misunderstanding of equality in Australia, he said it's because some people think equality is the result of equality. So what does that mean? Some people think equality is the result of equality. So it's when we aim to just create an equality and say that because we've got an equality, it's an equality. But it's not really an equality. For instance, if in today's society, if we have a left-leaning government, for instance, that tends to like to tax wealthy people. So if wealthy people are making a lot of effort and doing well and creating a lot of wealth in their life, and then there's other people in life who wealth may not be so important, or they may not have the same skills, or they just may not have had the same luck. But for whatever reason, these different people in life have got different skills and have got different incomes. Now, if we try to take the wealth or the money from the people who are earning a lot of money and give it to the people who don't have much money as a way to just try to create equality, it's not really equality, because it's just equality for the sake of equality. The people at the lower scale of the wages, they may not be equal in their output. They may not be equal in the amount that they're able to achieve in their work, and how much their work can change the lives of many people. So there needs to be also something else other than just the idea of equality. And it's really about fair judgment. It's the idea that if a person works hard and has a lot of skills and can do a lot of good in the world, we should celebrate the fact that they can create wealth in their lives. And so this is one of the things where Master has been teaching us about the idea of equality, and especially with economics. We have to realize that everything happens for a reason, and if there are people that are doing well and earning a lot of money and creating a lot of wealth in their lives, then it's quite likely that they deserve it. And if other people have not created so much wealth in their life, maybe it's time for them to reflect, and if they really do want to create some wealth, they can reflect and think about what they can do in their lives to benefit more people, find ways to benefit more people, and then apply wisdom to be able to, through the benefiting of the people, apply economic principles and create wealth in their life. Yeah. So Master said here, the real meaning of equality comes from "you are all children of God" is the meaning of equality. This is the real meaning of equality. The true meaning of equality is that we all have the potential for enlightenment. We all have equal potential, but we are not all equal at the moment. Some people have walked further on the path because they've made more effort. There are definitely higher spirits and lower spirits, and they are not equal. A high spirit in the heavenly world who has a mind so full of love and full of light, and seen from a spiritual perspective, when they're great balls of consciousness and energy, compared to just the average human soul that doesn't have the same brightness and the same wisdom and the same ability to love. There's no way that there's an equality of output at that particular time. But the potential is there. Any soul, over time, can become a great soul, because we all have the seed of God within us. So we all have that divine nature within us. So this is the key to equality. It's not equality for the sake of equality. It's not that we're all going to be happy if we can just all have exactly the same amount of money and all have exactly the same house and all have exactly the same car. It's not like that. It's good to have a competitive society. But what is also important is that, and this will come up later on in this Master's talk, but what is important is that those people that do have aim to use their wealth to help others become wealthy. And what's also important is that those that aren't wealthy, they look up to or respect the people who are wealthy, and have a feeling towards them of well done, like a celebratory type attitude towards them, that I'm happy for you, you've done really well, and I also plan to do well. And that will help people who don't have wealth move towards wealth. And if the people who do have wealth, instead of trying to just hoard the wealth or feel that the wealth itself is what brings them happiness, instead of that, if these people actually use their wealth to help other people become wealthy, they will find that they experience a much, much, much greater happiness than they ever could just through having the wealth itself. Okay, then, Master said, when it's enough to be equal in result, there is no effort required. When it's enough to be equal in result, there is no effort required. It's human nature, if we don't have to make effort, if everything will come to us easily, if whether I try or I don't try, I'm going to have the same result, it really is human nature to not try. It's just the way it is. So if we try to set it up so that everyone's going to be equal, no matter whether they try or not, slowly but surely the result is going to be a diminishment of human culture and humankind. We will go into a slump and become a lot of lazy people, all just expecting to be given. Master also said that Buddha's law is the law of cause and effect. Well, the law of cause and effect says when something happens, something else will happen, which will lead to something else happen. So it's cause, conditions, effect, and result. So first there's a cause. That cause happens within a set of conditions, and then there's a result, and from that result there's a reward. And this is Buddha's law. It's the law of the universe. Everything was even created under this law. So if we try, and within that law, that is why, that if a person in their life here continues to make effort, they have a goal, and they continue to make effort the whole life long towards that effort, then over time that goal can be realized. Okay, so another thing Master said is, when it's enough to be equal in result, there is no effort required. And it's a human tendency that if we don't have to make effort, we won't. If we can get something, whether we make the effort or not, we'll tend to want to receive it without making the effort. Of course, there's a few people who know the importance of making effort, and whether they had to make effort or not, they would still probably make effort. But the majority of people, if they can have the same result, whether they make effort or not, would prefer not to make effort and just have that result. So living with the idea that we should all have equal result, no matter how much effort we make, is not going to lead society and the world to utopia. What we should want is equality of opportunity. Rather than equality of result, we need equality of opportunity, which means that each one of us needs to be given opportunities in our life to excel and to do well and to progress. And not just each individual, but each country. And the world needs to work where the people who do have the wealth also want to help other countries that don't have wealth, where people are very poor, to help those countries also get ahead. Because after all, we can only have an ideal world when all the countries are living ideally. If there's just one country living ideally and everybody else is living in poverty, of course all those people from those other countries are going to spend their time trying to get into the country that has created utopia. And that country's suffering will become just trying to keep the people out. So this is a responsibility we have as people of this world, is to create an ideal world for everybody, not just a few elite. I must have said Buddha's law is the law of cause and effect. So the law of cause and effect is the essential and main law, and God's law. Everything happens. Creation happened under the law of cause and effect. There was a cause, there was a result. Cause and effect, cause and effect. Everything, even our souls, were created through Buddha's will. So there was a cause. There was the God, the will of God created us. So there's a cause. Everything has a cause, and everything has an effect. So if we recognize Buddha's law of cause and effect, it doesn't seem right that one person makes effort and one person doesn't make effort and they both get the same result. That doesn't follow the law of cause and effect. And Master also said, equality sometimes causes people to decline to low levels of life, to an equality of misery or an equality of poverty. Yeah, so this is basically what's happened in socialism. If we look at countries like Venezuela and and Cuba, these countries that had socialism as their core system, their philosophy, those countries have become very poor. And even though Venezuela has one of the world's largest oil reserves, the system of socialism that they have in the country has created huge amounts of poverty, and the people there are really suffering. So yes, we know that anytime we try to just create everybody equally, all it ends up with is equality of poverty or equality of misery. Okay, next excerpt.
I continually insisted that you can be according to your thought. It means you are the person you are just thinking about all day long. It's my main concept. So you need something in this country. It's a beautiful country. I know. It's splendid landscape. But from my eyes, the people in this world, in this country, are likely to sleep and they lost their aims and their purpose. You need purpose if you want to become great person or great people or great country. You need purpose, aim. It's essential. But from my eyes, there are a lot of sleepy people in this country, like two-toed sloth sleeping. So I ask you to become a human being. Human being must make efforts to become greater being. It's your destiny. You are not animals. You are human beings. Human beings are doomed to be great. If you want to stay near God, you just want to become a light or lights. What kind of lights? It's a light that light up the darkness of the sea, darkness of the world. If no one make efforts and have gotten success? Who can save poor people? Who can save the ill people? Who can save the disabled people? There needs success, real success. Real success is essential, especially this place. You must have desire to achieve real success for love of the world. Desire sometimes up to bad attitude, but the desire which I refer to is a desire that to save people of the world.
Yes, so Master Okawa just said in this excerpt, you can be according to your thoughts, and also you are the person you are thinking about all day long. And this has always been a central theme of Master's teachings, is that we as people are whatever we are thinking about all day long. So our thoughts are us. So if you want to know what sort of person you are, you just need to look inside your mind and find out what you're thinking about all day, most of the time. What occupies your mind the most? And this will tell you a lot about yourself. And so Master said, you are the person you're thinking about all day long. So whatever we think about all day long is essentially us. And if you think about that, if you fill your mind every day with happy, joyful, positive, constructive, optimistic thoughts, then that's the type of person you are. And people will see you as quite a happy, optimistic person. If, on the other hand, you will fill your mind with a lot of negativity and worries, and you're always thinking about the problems coming along, or always feeling some sort of resentment or some sort of disappointment, and it's going over your mind over and over again, and you're thinking about it all the time, then that's the sort of person you are. You could say this person is a negative and gloomy, or very, they tend to be very angry, or they tend to be very negative. So whatever you're thinking in your mind all day, every day, is you. That's the kind of person you are. And really in Happy Science, what we're really trying to do is to, through exploration of the right mind, get rid of those thoughts that are not part of our true self, any of that negativity, the gloominess, the parts that lack light, then that part is just created through negative ways of thinking while living in this world. But underneath all of that, our true self is shining brightly. So in Happy Science, really, our whole mission here on Earth is trying to get rid of the negative aspect of thinking negatively or thinking wrongly based on this materialistic perspective we have while we're born into this world with these bodies, and replacing it with a positive perspective and a positive viewpoint because it's based on the truth. Okay, so yes, the Master went on to say, the people in Australia are likely to sleep and they have lost their aim and their purpose. So to Master's eyes, when he goes to each country, he can see the sort of tendencies of the people of the country. And each country has their own tendencies, just as each individual. We each have our own tendencies also. But countries also have tendencies. So if you look at Australia, he can see that it's people here tend to be a bit laid back and a bit relaxed and don't seem to have a lot of drive. And if you looked at another country like India, you could say India's tendency is they're very religious orientated, very faithful religious sort of people. So Japanese people, you could probably say, are very diligent and they work hard and very community orientated. So everybody, or each country, they have certain tendencies that have been developed over time. Yeah, so he said that people in Australia are likely to be very sleepy and have lost aim and purpose. He then went on to say, you need purpose if you want to become great, great person, great people, or great country. So this is back to the law of cause and effect that Master Okawa said earlier on, that through the law of cause and effect, if people hold an image or an ideal in their mind of what they really want to do or who they want to be, and every day they hold that image and make efforts towards actualizing that image, then they can become a great person or a successful person. And when you get a lot of people in a country all thinking like that and working hard and trying to develop themselves and develop their community and develop their country, then eventually a country naturally, through the law of cause and effect, if there's a lot of people all making effort towards improving their lives of the people around them and improving their country, then eventually we'll end up with a great country. This is the law of cause and effect that Master spoke about. Then Master said, you must have desire to achieve real success for the love of the world. So what's really interesting with this when he says you must have desire to achieve real success? In Buddhism, a lot of Buddhism was about getting rid of desire. A lot of traditional Buddhism talks about that it's actually desire that causes our suffering. And so if we remove desire, we can remove our suffering. And, and that's true because it is attachments. Desire and attachment is another word for a strong desire. But attachments are the cause of our suffering. But when we have a true desire, that's different. So there's true desires and false desire. So a false desire, for instance, would be wanting people to respect me, or wanting to be really rich, or wanting to have 5 cars and 4 houses. These are desires that people can have. These are not real true desires. But the true desire is the desire to be able to do something that is really great from the perspective of God and the high spirits and our own true self. See, our own true self is a self that really just wants to give love to as many people as possible. So if we have a desire to achieve real success for the love of the world, this is a true desire. It means I have a true desire, or I have a strong desire to bring happiness to as many people as possible. This is a true desire. This is the proper form of desire. So it's not a selfish desire or a desire based on something for me. It's a desire for me to be able to do something to benefit the world. Yeah. Okay, let's hear from another excerpt from Master.
But I ask you, the prosperity of Japan and the prosperity of the United States of America are transcendent to this country, Australia, in the near future. It's a destiny. It's a destiny from God, the destiny from heaven. It's already determined in the heaven. From next century, you are the leader of the world. So I came here just predict the fact, just to let you know the fact. You are the next leader of the world. This country, land is very wide, great, big, but what you are thinking about is not big. What you are thinking about is very small. You have no responsibility for the people all over the world. You have no eyes to look down upon all over the world. You need such kind of eyes. You must feel responsibilities of your own destiny. You have the destiny to prosper or to flourish your culture, your civilization. Flourish means, it means like the spring, there are a lot of flowers in the surface of the earth. Like that, there shall come a lot of great people in this country in the near future, and they'll make new civilization in the near future, at least from next century. So you are the beginner, and you are the starter of the new civilization. It's your position now. I dare predict about that. Now it's a day of Japan and the United States, but I will shine during this century, especially former part of this century. I said, right, all over the world, but in the next century, you should be the leader of the world. People of the all over the world will listen to you in the next century. At the time, what thought are you produce? Are you thinking about and teach around the other countries?
Okay, so in this excerpt, really quite amazing, isn't it? It was big information for us to hear this when Master revealed. It is Australia's destiny to lead the world in the next century. Yeah, this was amazing. So when Master revealed that in the next century, or sometime very soon, Australia will be the leader of the world. So Master's spoken about before that throughout history, there have been different times that different areas in the world have been the leading part or the leading civilization. And there's been a time, for instance, when Egypt reached its peak, and Egypt was the great part of our civilization on earth, and Greece had a time. There was also a time, of course, when England was shining brightly. They say that there was a time when the sun never set on the British Empire because they had spread so far around the world. This tiny little country, England, had spread around the world with so much influence, and they were in so many places that there was never a time that it was all night for the British Empire. They were so spread out around the world that the sun never sets. Yeah, and then America has been leading the world for quite some time. And then Master predicts that Japan will have a time leading the world, and that will be because of his teachings coming out of Japan. They will start to influence the world in a big way. And then eventually Australia will, from Asia, it'll move down to Australia. And that in the next century, Australia will lead the world. Yeah, but he said Australia is a big country, and it is, of course. But he said, but what the people are thinking about is not big. So it's back to the beginning of his lecture when he said that people tended to be sleeping, or they don't have any real goals, any real aspirations. So the thinking of the people in Australia are not seeing ourselves, or not seeing Australia as a country which could lead the world. We tend to think of ourselves as like the younger brother, the follower, the person that's following America or other great big countries. But from Master's teaching here, this will change. And a lot of the reason is that, as he said, great people will descend into this country. That's the reason a country becomes great. I mean, in the past, it happened in Greece, it happened in Egypt, it happened in England, it happened in America. Great figures from the high dimensions in the heavenly world descend. Many of them descend at the same time with the desire and the purpose to create a great culture and really influence a country. And that's why Master said at the beginning, Australia, it's your destiny. It's your destiny. It's given to you by God. So it's already decided from heaven that in this particular time in the future, that many of these great spirits will descend into Australia. Okay, then Master said, but Australia has no responsibility for the people all over the world. Yeah, so Masters once again is saying that Australia is really just thinking about themselves and thinking too small and not feeling that they have much to offer. I think there's a little bit of a tendency like this also in Japan, maybe from humility or not wanting to take responsibility, whatever it comes from. But there's a bit, even though there's such a great economy and such a great country, they don't tend to, this is Japan, they don't tend to view their voice about and their opinions about world issues and how they think things should be. It's almost like they feel it's none of our business. And maybe Australia is a little bit the same in that we don't really take much responsibility for events in the world. We think more about Australia. But this will be changing since Australia will become the leader in the future. Master said, Australia has the destiny to flourish. But he also said, when leading the world, what thoughts are being produced and spread to other countries? Now this is a key. And this is really something, a key point to the whole lecture here that Master gave, because he's going to give us the points that he suggests would be good for future leaders in this country to guide people. Yeah, so what are the thoughts being produced and spread to other countries? So we want to be a country that can produce thoughts and ideas that guide people in the right direction and lead people, all countries, towards prosperity. So let's hear this next excerpt from Master Okawa.
Japan and the United States, China, India, Brazil, these countries are will have very great power in this century, but they shall be declining in the next century, and it's your turn. So wake up, wake up. Next turn is yours. You must be the leader of the world. The pillars of the next civilization of this country should be foreigns. First of all, human beings are not materialistic beings only. They are spiritual beings. Don't forget this fact. Of course, you have bodies, but it's not all of you. You are you are made from body and soul, bodies and souls. That's a reality. Don't forget that. And next pillar, central point is there are this world and another world. It's related to first point, but it's true. You are here to learn something from this world. You came from another world, it's a spiritual world. And in this world, it's a school. This is a school to train your souls. This is a school of souls. So there are a lot of adversities in this world, in this three-dimensional world. There are adversities, of course. You have a lot of sufferings, of course, but it's just education or education in this country. It's just education. And what you learn from this education determine where you should go. It means what you go through, how you get through these sufferings determine the position or the world where you are going to be and stay. It means heaven or hell. Heaven or hell is determined by what you learn from this world, the lives of this world. It determines your future. You can learn a lot of things in this world, and it determines another world. It's true. You cannot disregard this fact. And the third point, most essential point, is next world must be founded upon love and mercy. It's very important. Love and mercy. People in the world requires love and mercy. But who provide love and mercy? People who provide love and mercy is people who can understand the reality of the enlightenment, or who received or felt the love from the God. That kind of people can help other people.
So in this excerpt here, one of the things Master Okawa gave us was the hints or the clues or the straight out idea about when Australia leads the world, what the pillars should be. And he said that there were three main pillars to the thinking that Australia should have and the thoughts they should put out there to other people. If you're going to be a true leader, you need to lead people in the right direction. So if you are leading people just based on materialism, then of course that's not truly leading people. That's just leading people to want more and more materialistic things. And if that's not going to lead people ultimately to happiness, then that's not really great or true leadership. So true leadership leads people to the truth or towards true happiness. And the true happiness has to include the spiritual value and spiritual aspect. So Master said, when Australia leads the world, the pillars should be, first of all, Human beings are not material beings only, they are spiritual beings. So this needs to be the first concrete thought that in Australia, in the next 100 or 200 years' time, when they're leading the world, this needs to be the basis of the thought in Australia, that human beings are not material beings only, they are spiritual beings. The second point, which he said was, of course, was related to the first point, and that is, there are this world and another world. So he's saying there is not just this world, but there's also the spirit world, which fits perfectly because we're saying we're not just a physical body, I also have a spiritual body, or I'm also a soul as well as a physical body. So I have body, physical body, and spiritual body, or physical body and soul. So at the same time, since we're talking about spiritual body, there has to be somewhere for the spiritual body to go when it's no longer in the physical body. So Master's saying that there is this world and another world. And always he's referring to the other world as the real world, the spirit world as the real world, because he's mentioned many occasions that this world itself is a temporary place. Everything is always changing, and that this world is actually perishable. One day everything's impermanent, and one day even this world won't exist anymore. We're talking billions of years probably, unless something untoward like another planet comes along and takes out the Earth. But even just leaving things as they go, without any untoward big event happening like that, if the Earth is left for the next number of billions of years, eventually the sun will expand and swallow up the Earth. So the Earth also has a limited time, but that's the physical Earth. Everything also has the spiritual aspect, and the spiritual aspect never dies. So even if my physical body dies, my soul continues. Even if the Earth's physical body of the Earth disappears, the soul of the Earth also continues to exist. So this is one of the key points he wants us to know. A, we're not just spiritual beings only. We're not just material beings only. We also have a physical body. And there's not just this world, there's also the other world. And that this world that we live in here, this physical world, is just a world that we come to train our souls. It's a school for the soul. This is always a key point for a master, to see this world as a school for the soul. Because when we see life this way, difficulties are no longer difficulties. They become an opportunity to learn something and to improve ourselves. Yeah. And the third point he said was, next world must be founded on love and mercy. And this really goes back to what we were saying earlier on, with people, if it's based on love and mercy, when the people who become wealthy have love and mercy, and they're displaying and expressing love and mercy, then of course wealthy people want to help the poor people. And this really is the way forward ultimately to creating Buddha land utopia. It's when everybody in the world understands this truth, that the other world's the real world, this world's just a temporary place, we've come to train the soul, it's just a school for the soul, but my real self is my soul, and the essence of my soul really is my divine nature, and my divine nature is just a being that really wants to do as much as it can to contribute to the happiness of others. That's where its real joy comes from. Then people will make effort in this world, of course, to improve themselves and develop themselves and create some sort of prosperity. And then to want to use that prosperity to help others attain prosperity and feel the joy that comes from watching other people grow. This is the way towards the Buddha land utopia. When everybody in the world has this way of thinking, that the reason they want to become wealthy is because the wealth is actually just an expression of the happiness that they've created in the world. So when people see that however much happiness and joy I can create in the world, the wealth that comes back to me is a representation of the happiness that I've been able to create. And then I want to use that wealth to help other people create wealth in their lives as well. When more and more people are thinking this way, of course, through the law of cause and effect, Buddha land utopia has to be created by the good thoughts and the deeds and actions and efforts of many people who are living based on spiritual value rather than material values. Okay, let's listen to next excerpt of Master Okawa here.
You must fight against your weak body lure, body attached lure. There is a lot of lures in this world. It's a little different from what I said, a desire to save the world. It's a lure of self-concentrated. It means there are a lot of selfish people in this world, but they don't understand the meaning of selfish. Selfish means you live to think that you live only this world only. But when you understand that you are created to love other people and to save other people and to save the world, you can't be selfish. So I already taught you about a lot of teachings of love. Love that gives is very important. People want to get love from others. It's a usual thinking. But really important thing is to get love from others, but to give love to others. Such kind of people are required in this world. It's a provider of love. So I ask you to be a person of love, who create love, who are the factory of love, a love maker. It's very important. It's akin to mercy, which are told in Buddhism, but almost same.
Okay, so at the beginning of the excerpt, Master was talking about lures. The word was lure, so like a self-attached lures. There's many lures in the world, he was saying. So these lures tend to take us off our path because we are lured towards some sort of selfish desire, self-attached interest. So Master said we must be careful of that and try to avoid too much of a strong lures or attachments. But there's a beautiful phrase he used here, which I've got written here. He said, "When you understand that you were created to love other people and to save other people and to save the world, you can't be selfish." Yeah, this is so great. When you understand that you were created to love other people and to save other people and to save the world, you can't be selfish. And this is also another key teaching in Happy Science, is that once we take responsibility for not just our own lives, but for bringing the happiness to other people and feel a responsibility to this world, then when we start to live that way, we stop thinking about ourselves and our own selfish desires, and our thoughts become much more about what we can do to alleviate the suffering of others and what we can do to improve the world and improve the lives of others. And the truth is that when we're thinking like that, we feel happy. This is definitely the truth. And from my own experience is that the more that I think about what I can do towards contributing to the happiness of others or benefiting others in their lives, the more I think about that, the less I have concerns for myself. Master said before that the happiest people in the world are those who think about their own happiness the least. And the unhappiest people in the world are those who think of their own happiness the most. So if you chase your own happiness, you can never really get it, like a cat chasing its tail. The faster you chase it, the faster it seems to run away. But when you just have a high ideal and a high goal and go towards this goal and this ideal, which will be to in some way benefit people, bring happiness to people, benefit the world, then if you have that as your ideal and every day work towards that ideal and build a passion in your heart towards achieving that, just like the cat, the tail will follow you, or the happiness will already be with you. It will already be there. You don't need to go looking for it. Yeah. So your life itself and the way you live your life becomes happiness. So rather than seeking happiness from the outside, we just actually experience the happiness that comes from the inside through doing the work that we were really created to do. Because Master Okawa said that as human beings, this was the way we were created. Yeah, Master Okawa said that we ourselves are people who were created by God with the whole purpose of being able to give love to other people. So Master went on to say, and also I love this phrase also, he went on to say, I ask you to be a person of love, who creates love, who is a factory of love, a love maker. It's very important. And during that excerpt, he'd also said that if we are not the people who are giving love to other people in the world, and if nobody is giving love to the unhappy or sad people in the world, who is going to give the love? Where is the love going to come from if not from us and from others who are willing to give the love? Yeah, so it really is a very important thing for each one of us to aim to be a person that can bring as much love into this world. And it starts with the people close to us, the people around us, our family, our friends, our partners, then our work colleagues and our bosses, and then the people in society that we come in touch with. And then that love should spread out to even to the unseen people and people we never meet. Just a strong feeling in our heart of goodwill towards them. Wishing that there's a way that I could do something in my life to help them, to benefit them, to help them to become more happy. That's a very important attitude to be having in our lives. This feeling that I'm a person who takes responsibility, not just for my own happiness, but the happiness of others. And I really want to contribute to the happiness of people in this world. That sort of attitude itself will take us closer towards God. Okay, let's watch this next excerpt from Master.
So, lastly, I dare ask you, we need more lights in this country, Australia. So, if you want to be angels in the heaven in the near future to help the people in this world, please join us and our movement. I ask you, I need you, your helps, and that will save the world. My light is not so big one, but from my light, you can get many lights, light from light, and you can make darkness of the night brighter and brighter. I am only a lighthouse or only a keeper of lighthouse, but this keeper of lighthouse came across the ocean to teach you just one thing. You have your mission, and do your mission. That is your destiny.
So Master at the end here, he said, you have your mission, do your mission. And I feel like this just applies not just for our mission of Australia, being the leading country. Of course, that's what he's really relating to or referring to in 100 years or so, that Australia becomes the leading country. So this, you have your mission, do your mission. But I really also feel is that just what we were talking about before, about being a person who is a love maker, or a person who brings love or light into this world. Based on what we were saying before, that the other world exists and that we are spiritual beings in a physical body, and that there's this world and the other world, and that we came from the other world, and that this world is a school. Before we were born, each one of us made a life plan. We set ourselves a mission. We had a goal. And that goal would have always included in some way the development of ourself, which means bringing out our divine nature or our true nature into this world, making it shine some more, and in some way benefiting other people in this world. So all of us, when we were in the heavenly world planning to come here, had a dream, had a strong desire to be able to do something in this world, to be able to benefit the world, while at the same time, of course, improving and benefiting our own soul. So I think this final words from Master, when he said, you have your mission, do your mission, is for us to think about from a twofold purpose of that, which are very connected. The one, your mission of developing yourself, becoming a person who can lead other people, becoming a person who's able to guide other people towards happiness. And that really means becoming a person who has found the true happiness yourself and living every day with this burning sense of happiness deep in your heart. So that's one part of it. But the other part about it is to always be thinking about in the long term that Australia itself will be a country in the future that leads the world, and how you yourself can contribute to Australia becoming that country. Because as we spoke about before, through the law of cause and effect, it doesn't just happen by chance. It happens, of course, there's God's will, and there's the planning behind of many high spirits that will be coming here. But at this particular place, in this particular time, we're in Australia. We're born here. So let's work together to be able to help set up the perfect environment for the future, for Australia to become the leading country. And I think that happens by spreading these teachings of happy science to more and more people, so that more and more people have this fundamental idea that's taught in happy science about having the spiritual values and seeing this world as a great opportunity to train our souls, and that seeing our whole purpose and meaning of our lives in this world is to develop ourselves while at the same time contributing in some way towards the development of this world and bringing happiness to more people, and especially the people in the world who are suffering and the people in the world who don't have the same opportunities that we have. So as Master Kawa said in here, that he felt that the people in Australia are very much sleepy and don't have many goals or aspirations, and that he wanted to wake us up. So let's be the first ones in Australia that do wake up, and wake up to the passion of the mission of spreading this teaching, so that we can lay the foundations to create this great new civilization that's being born right now, right here in Australia. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed today's lecture. We will continue to put more and more information upline, more lectures upline. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Thank you.